Welcome back. You're with us, of course, only here on Open Exchange on the back of environmental deception scandals involving auto giant VW and oil company Total. We're shifting our focus onto the need to transition into a low-carbon economy. And to give us more insight is Harmke, Immink, Director of Promethium. Thank you so much for coming through, Harmke. So you are independent advisors that look at clients and you try and get them to transition or tell them about ways that they can transition to limit their carbon emissions. But one would say that if you look at Africa, as an example, we are still developing. We need to be given the opportunity to industrialize. The developed worlds, they've had their opportunity to do it. So why impose Western standards on Africa?
The one thing is that we actually need green growth. So yes, we need growth, but we actually need green growth. And that is where the low carbon economy. So although Africa hasn't been really contributing to the problem of climate change, we are really affected already. We see the effects in extreme weather events, extreme droughts. So the effect of climate change is already real for Africa. So we can't ignore the fact that we need to move to a low carbon economy worldwide. And one of the ways is green growth. And that is where the problem came in with everybody that is really entrenched into fossil fuels.
Yes.
So we see the scandals around clean coal, scandals around clean diesel, all of those are ways that people try to say that we want to be part of the green economy, but we aren't.
When you look at these big multinationals, okay, VW obviously has been in the headlines, Sasol, Eskom, how do you get companies like that to do the transition, being in line with the regulatory environment and, you know, carbon emissions and carbon tax? That's not something that is you know, very well known, I would think, to any layman person.
There's quite a lot of regulatory uncertainty at the moment. South Africa proposed a very innovative way of doing it, say we need both a stick and a carrot. And that is where the carbon credits actually come in. To say, yes, if you've got a carbon tax on the one side, we also need to promote real green businesses, real clean businesses, offset. And that's we will probably go for a tax and trade of carbon credits, and there are quite a number of opportunities in South Africa to do offset projects, but they were all hampered by a low carbon price.
Okay, let's take a step back. Carbon credits, how would that work? How does that work for an organization?
A carbon credit is when you actually reduce emissions on a specific project, and those are like renewable energy projects, all of those type of projects that you would say, yes, they reduce emissions from what would have happened. If they are verified, checked, they could be sold as carbon credits. And then it's a commodity like maize and soya. It's just a ton CO2 not emitted. And that is a very good way of getting investors into the real green economy, real green growth, what we actually need.
So two questions come to mind. They need to be monitored, these carbon credits. Yes. One, does South Africa have the means to effectively monitor these credits so that they are credible? And secondly, you said they can be traded like a commodity. So we may be looking at carbon trading on the likes of the JSE, for example?
Yes, exactly. That is where we are heading. Currently, South Africa would allow 3 of the major international credible schemes, the Clean Development Mechanism, the VCS, the Voluntary Carbon Standard, and the Gold Standard. So those are the 3 credible schemes. It also left open the door for local, developed but smaller credible schemes. So that is probably what, towards the beginning of next year, we will probably have more guidance about where are we heading, what are the standards. But internationally, a lot of work has been done since 2005, 2007. The carbon markets really sort of picked up. Since 2012, the price has been very low, and that really hampered investment of these projects, into these projects in South Africa especially. A lot of these projects are parked. If we have a local market, it will really get those projects, get the investors back into the green economy.
I just want to make sure that I'm understanding. So with carbon trading, you say this, this is something that's still very much under discussion in the pipeline. So would anybody be able to do carbon trading? I think, you have a share on the JSE, anybody can pretty much invest. How would it work with carbon trading in terms of accessibility?
I think that's where it would become very interesting for people to say that we need to actually grow. So we will probably have a register to say that if you've got a carbon credit project, you can register on there, and then you can decide, do you want to sell it now, do you want to sell it later? You would probably sell it to companies who actually have a huge carbon footprint and are looking at reducing. So they will be offered an option to say we can reduce in-house or we can buy offsets. And in that way, it is just another instrument of getting a reduction towards the low carbon economy.
Okay, so it seems as though we are trying to make headway and we're on the right track. And like you said, we do have to look at green growth apart from just, putting emissions up into the air. Thank you so much. That was Harmke, Immink, Director of Promethium. We're going to be shifting focus to the west of the continent.